welcome to Married Meeples. I'm the bride.
I am the groom.
We're going to be discussing some of our favorite two-player games that we own. There's a whole multitude of two-player games, but we're gonna talk about which ones we like. We like the best here.
And we're going to specify outside of one, kind of, all these are two-player only. So there are other games that we like playing two-player, but these are two-player only games. So first we're going to let you know our recent plays, and then we're going to get into games that are two-player versions of bigger games that have bigger player counts, and then we're going to wrap up with some original two-player games. All right? So let's get to those recent plays. Alright, so now we're going to get into some recent plays of games. Just a selection of some of the ones we've been playing recently. First, we're going to start with 3 games from one company that just launched, Joey Games. It's a game founded by Phil Walker Harding. You're going to see a lot of coverage of this coming on our channel because we do enjoy these games. So we already have an unboxing of all 3 games up. We're going to start first talking about Scribbly Gum. Scribbly Gum is, I call it a verb and write. Other people may as well, but it's a verb and write. You're flipping over cards, in this case little tiles, and drawing paths on your tree up here. I did a solo play of this. Again, we'll find out on the channel. So this is a pretty basic verb and write, but I do like it just because there is just a little bit of game mechanics in it, like trying to get to doing the bonus actions by going down the paths with the different meals, being able to add the objectives. There's the 2 different maps, so there's a decent amount of game, even though it is for ages 6 and up, because it does have that basic with a little bit of complexity if you want it. And I personally, that's how I always like to describe Phil Walker Harding games. He takes something very basic and then adds a gamery twist to it to make it engaging. Your thoughts?
Pretty much the same as yours. I know that the youth, she liked it, or they liked it. Played, 3, 4 solo games?
Yeah, and they normally don't play anything solo, but they enjoy it enough that they're like, hey, Scribbly Gum.
Yeah, and they're 14, so I mean, it doesn't have to be 6-year-olds or 7-year-olds. It's easy enough for little ones, but still complex enough for older ones. Next game.
Next up, we have Pass the Party Food. This is a co-op game where you are going to be drawing tiles from a bag and putting them on top of your board and dispersing them to other people and trying to get rows or columns of food to move your people up before the dog Ziggy comes and passes you by, because then they're going to ruin the party with the cake. This was my least favorite of the 3, but it's still a decent play. I personally am just not a huge co-op fan, so to me it had the same thing, like, hey, here, you send this, send this, send this. It seemed pretty straightforward for me. Like I said, it's just lesser 3 because I'm not a fan of this type of game, but I still want to get it because A, I'm a collector and like to get everything someone has put out, and then B, because I want to see what the hell the design was.
And I liked the game because it was basically a set collection. You were trying to collect all of the different foods so that you can move up the track.
So this definitely is one of the easier co-op games, so it is good to play with the children because it's not smacking you in the head.
Okay. Next.
Alright, Busy Beaks, a bird game. This is definitely, to me, the most complex of the 3. It does say 8+. You have a bunch of different species of birds. You're going Australian birds. You choose 7 of them. You make a deck. Each one has a different power. That's why there's a little extra level of complexity, because there is quite a few powers, but there are reminder cards out there. We are going to be doing a two-player version of, or two-player playthrough of this that will be released on the channel coming up very shortly, so you can see how it plays there. I like the replayability. As I said, there's 14 different birds. Each one has a different ability. The one thing I will say I'm not a big fan of in a two-player version is it's very tug-of-war-y, because basically it's almost usually whoever gets the one extra egg token for doing that fourth type of bird over the third wins because of how low the points are. That's a very mild complaint. Otherwise, I mean, the gameplay's quick, so I'm not usually even bothered by that because it's a fun game.
I like the room side, I like it too, but I like the art. I mean, they're very nice pictures of the birds.
And it's a set collection, which of course you're always into. So.
Yep.
Alright, so that was the Joey games. So now we're going to cover Orbis, designed by Tim Armstrong. So, the main reason we got this is Tim Armstrong has designed a new game in the Imperial Settlers world, and we enjoy that world. He did Arcana Rising for Grey Fox Games. We enjoy that game. So when I saw he had this other game out that's been out for a while that we had never heard of because it just slipped through the cracks for us, I went and grabbed it. Basically, you're drafting tiles from the middle, trying to get these cubes, which are your followers, to pay for the tiles, and the tiles all score different ways, and you're building up your world, your empire. I liked it. It's a little hard for me to describe why. I'm not sure yet. I kind of like just figuring out like how the worlds are going to build up. There's really not like engine building in this per se, so it's not like that's it. There's something satisfying about the way it is, and the art's pretty cool.
And pretty much the same. I like collecting the tiles. I like putting them where they're going, building up that pyramid, and collecting all the worshippers. So, Orbis. Next.
Alright.
It's a big one.
So the last one for our recent plays that we're covering today is Mille Fiori. It is a game from Reiner Knizia where you're drafting cards and putting tiles out on a board and scoring different ways. You are almost always scoring points every time you take a card. So I enjoy engine building, and there is a small, well, not really engine building, more chaining actions. If you can do one action to get a bonus card and take that bonus card and make it another bonus card to get another bonus card, you might play like 3 times at once. That is the big thing I like about this, and it's drafting. And we're always big fans of drafting.
And I like the components, the little glass tiles.
Interjecting really quick, we are doing a what's in the box of this that should be posting soon as well, so you can see the components she's referring to.
So I like doing that, and like I said, the chaining all the different actions together. So, and I know we've played both 2-player and 3-player. So it does seem 2-player is a little easier.
A little bit easier, and the bonus card section depleted very quickly with a 3-player as opposed to a 2-player. Because in a 2-player, 4 cards are getting put out in the bonus, and you start with 9, so it gets unruly quickly. In a 3-player, you're only adding 3 per round. It only started, I think, with like 4 or something. So that was our one issue also with the 3-player game, is that the bonus cards seem to deplete really quickly.
Yeah. But yes, Mille Fiori.
So.
Like that game.
So those are our recent plays that we have done. We will now move into our 2-player versions of bigger games. Alright, so everyone loves a big game, big grandiose game, but sometimes you want to play 2 players, and some of them maybe don't play 2 players, don't play 2 players well. Well, we're going to cover 5 of them. Yeah, there's like a special wonky rule. And the first one we're going to cover actually is an instance of that. But these are going to be 2-player versions of those games that are made specifically just for 2 players, so they do address that problem. We're going to go with a couple of honorable mentions before we deep dive into 2 games that have some cool components we want to show. The first one is Seven Wonders Duel, right here behind me. That is a two-player version of Seven Wonders, which Seven Wonders says it can play two players, but it's a really wonky rule, so it really can't.
It's just not very enjoyable.
Yeah. I will sidetrack here and say there is a recent Seven Wonders Architects that does play well with two players, but also can play up to the 7 players. This is a two-player only version that does it fairly well. So I know there's tons of people out there talking about it, but we just wanted to mention it. It's not going to be a complete list if we don't. The next one I want to mention is Ascension: Return of the Fallen. This is a deck building game. She likes deck building games. This plays exactly like Ascension, except it's a smaller deck, and it's specifically made for only 2 players. Ascension plays fine 2 players, but this is a 2-player, much smaller box. You don't have the big board that Ascension has, so it can play in a smaller space too. So it's, in essence, almost like Travel Ascension, but just as good of a game. We're going to deep dive into 2 games now. The first one is Duelosaur Island from Pandasaurus Games. This is a 2-player, not necessarily a 2-player version of Dinosaur Island, but it's definitely in that universe, and it shares a lot of similarities. Players are going to be rolling dice, drafting cards and dice to build up their dinosaur park, whether through rides or dinosaurs or eating establishments, using the DNA to create the dinosaurs. You basically play until a set number of points, and then high score wins after some end of game scoring. We really do like Dinosaur Island when we played it. That can take a while. Setup's a bear, and it's a table hog. It takes up like an entire table just for 2 players. This does not. This does take up more room than you'd think a 2-player game would, but it definitely is not as much. But it does distill down to the good stuff, the rolling the dice and all that, which I'm now going to kick it over here, and she'll cover some stuff she likes, and then she'll show you some of those cool components we're speaking about.
Yes. I love the dice. They're so cool looking.
Yeah, Pandasaurus did really nice. They made them try and look like amber for the dinosaurs, and
I don't know why I'm showing it. So nice big dice. All the different DNA, very distinct. You can tell which ones are which.
And they did do different designs on each one to kind of make it colorblind friendly. They have the different shapes on them, so if someone can't see the colors, they can just match the shapes.
So there's the dice.
And the other cool thing is the cards themselves, they put some goofy stuff in some of them. Like the Triceratops for the food.
And then you've got Raptor Nuggets. Let's see. Cover Grill T-shirts instead of the T-Rex. Genosplice dogs. DNA
nachos.
DNA nachos. Shot glasses. Dynamite coaster. Hyper coaster and fidget Spinosaurus.
So it's really cool that they didn't just like, oh, here's a roller coaster. They did put the extra flair. And it is the Quanchai Mora art of all the dinosaur games, which makes it especially cool and colorful and nice. So.
Yeah.
And then if you want to show the dice bag,
yes,
the dice bag is massive. Even though not many dice go in it, they make sure that they can kind of plop around in there and that any hand can fit in there, even a giant's.
Yes, which I know you have a big issue with.
Yeah.
So, and it's nice. It's velvet. It's got the nice embroidered patch on there. If you can see that. I mean, that's nice. So
it's nice when someone comes out with a 2-player version of a game and they spare no expense. So it actually is, good quality components. It's not just a thrown together game. So.
And then you've got the recessed board games for the DNA, There's your threat level, how many dinosaurs, security level. So that's always a good thing, especially when you have the cubes, to have the recessed so that you're not constantly knocking the cubes off. We've been playing a couple of games and it's not recessed and you have cubes and you just keep knocking them off. It's like, where was my cube again? Where was I?
So Duosaur Island, like we said, we're fans of Dinosaur Island. So a 2-player version is always nice to have, and this is actually one, again, the youth actually likes. So like me and the youth have actually played this a few times when they were in their dinosaur days. So that's always a benefit. So, then the other 2-player version of a bigger game that we're going to get into is the Rival Networks from Formal Ferret Games. So the Networks, which is the main game this is based on, has you're running a TV station. Excuse me. You're getting actors, actresses, shows, commercials, and it's this long drawn out, tons of cards, drafting mechanic. This distills it down to a 2-player version where you're still drafting cards. You still have the goofy titles, but the components are nice, and it plays a little quicker too, if I remember correctly. So it's a fun one that's got enough quirkiness to it where it's enjoyable, where you're not just, it doesn't feel dry. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is so enjoyable. No, they add that, like, there's a little bit of goofy artwork. There's the goofy titles, as you'll see when the bride kind of breaks down some of the components in a second. It's just got that nice feel to it.
Yeah, and the cards are nice components. They're the linen finish cards. So those and the cardboard houses, which I will show you. Love these houses. So there's the front of the house, the little cardboard houses. Got the cute little pictures. Got the little dog, and he's even got his own little dish right there. We've got tons of people watching TV. There's a broken TV. And then you've got, oops, knocking it out. And then on the top of the roof, and then you've got the little hole. And there's the other one. Oops. There's the front of the house. There's the front. Got the cat and the dog. Everybody's watching TV. And then, I don't know if you can see or not, but that right there, that is the
logo for the company, the Formal Ferret logo.
And then you've got the cat up on the roof. And it's nice because these are
basically your points are viewers that you get, and then when you get the viewers, you get these little viewer chips, and then you just plunk them down into your house so people can't see what each other's score is.
So, and then one of the things that I really liked about it was some of the names. Unlocking your cat's psychic potential. The Mendelineer, Poncho Academy, Battle Tots, National Casketball Association. So it's kind of cool to see what some of these are
parodying.
Yeah.
Inspired by.
I've got those, and then let's see, luxury spacecraft.
So these are the commercials you can get broadcast on your network.
I believe these are the stars.
Yeah, that's a commercial. Then we got some stars coming up.
The Opinionated Cat, the Anime Hero, former comedian gone dramatic. That could be so many. Always dies in everything. Uncannily talented hacker. Got Potato Nader, which is a commercial, and Frozen Yoga.
So there's quite a few of them. We just don't want to ruin them all for you because that is one of the fun in this game is, you know, seeing all the cool titles, seeing the cool hero or the cool movie stars, and looking at all those, trying to figure it out, enjoying what it's based on. So to us, that's kind of the fun of the game.
Yeah.
So anything else to add?
No, not really.
All right, so let's see. We did Summoner's Duel is drafting. Duosaur Island is drafting. Rival Networks is drafting. Do you know what else you drafting, kind of?
What?
Splendor Duel. That is our last honorable mention that we actually did a 2-player playthrough on this very channel you are watching now, hopefully. Otherwise, how are you watching this? That you can go back and watch of ours to see how the game plays, but it is a very good distillation down of regular Splendor. Yes. Even though you have never played regular Splendor, I have played the app of it and basically know how it's played. And yeah, it's basically the same thing. You get poker chips and you use them to get cards. Alright, so now we are going to cover games that are not based on bigger games, original 2-player games.
Yes.
Alright, so we'll see you back here for that one. And we're back. We have backed. Many a Kickstarter in our day.
Yes.
Anyways, that's not what this is about. This is about 2-player games that are originals and not based on larger, grandiose games. I will tie this in, however. We did back Unconscious Mind, and part of that is a card game. Not 2-player, but a card game.
Speaking of card games.
Anyways, so we are going to continue our drafting love with a game by Mr. Scott Alms from Capstan Games, Bear and Bread. We looked at the components of this on the channel. I know, we look at a lot of stuff on this channel. You should also. But it's Bear and Bread. It's a 2-player drafting game. You share the same amount of resources. You're drafting cards for multi-use.
You're collecting resources.
Yeah, you're turning them in to make either bear or bread. I like bear. She likes bread. It works well. But again, just wanted to get that honorable mention. But speaking of Scott Alms, who is a designer that we tend to like, he came out with this 2-player trick-taking game called Claim. There are expansions out which add different monsters and reinforcements and such. However, seeing as this is a trick-taking game, I'm going to turn it over to my trick. And she will go over the components and the rules. And we'll also cut to you again. Huh?
Yes. I really like trick-taking games. I grew up on trick-taking games like euchre and hearts, spades, all that fun stuff.
So basically when there's a 2-player trick-taking game out there, I tend to jump on it for us to at least try and see if we can find one. Because it's hard to play those other games with 2 players.
Yeah. I mean, there are versions, but it's, kind of hard.
If only there weren't 2 of us. Anyways. So here we go. I'll show you the cards and explain the rules.
Yes. Claims is basically a trick-taking game with a twist. You've got the different... Oops. You've got different factions. There we go. We're going to lay these out. And of course...
There's 5 of them. There's goblins, dwarves, doppelgangers, knights, undead.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got them. And each player gets 13 cards. With the deck of cards in the middle between, and then one card gets flipped over, and then basically regular trick-taking rules apply. Highest number wins. You got to follow the suit or the trump, faction, what have you. The difference is with this one is that you don't take the trick. Most of the time, you win the trick, you take it back to your hand, and that scores. Well, with this game, the winner takes the flipped over card, and the loser takes a card from the deck. And then that builds up your second round hand. So once you play through your 13 cards, those are all put off to the side. You pick up your next hand, then you play, and that's when you get your points, is from the second hand of cards that you play.
So yeah, like you said, so what I like about this one is, because trick-taking games, I played maybe a couple growing up, but I wasn't big on it. This adds that nice gamery element, because each race has a special ability. Like, goblins have no special power, but a knight, if played after a goblin, will beat the goblin regardless. You could have an 8 goblin and 1 knight, the 1 knight beats the goblin. Doppelgangers can be anything. Undead in that first round, if the undead gets 1, they go to the winner's score pile instead of to the discard pile. And the dwarves in the second round, go to whoever loses. So it adds that little game element where you're trying to win tricks, but you can also win different ways. Because you're really, at the end of the game, trying to have the most cards in all the factions. Whoever gets 3 or more factions, one wins the game.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the expansions nice, is it adds new races, new elements, so it adds that variability.
The only issue that I had with it was, I mean, I love the game. It was just a little confusing for me at the beginning because I'm used to taking the tricks. So if I won, I try and take the tricks back. Well, you don't take the tricks. You take the card that's on the table that's flipped over, and you put that in your deck. So I was constantly forgetting to do that, or
Old people problems, what you're saying.
or if he won, he would take the trick, or he would take the card, and I'd forget to take the flipped up card. I'd forget to take the other card. So that was my big issue. Was I was always trying to not confused, but I would always forget because of me taking the tricks.
And the other benefit of this one, as opposed to I think every other game we've been talking about so far, is this is the most portable of them all. It's a deck of 52 cards, and you don't need a big play space.
Not at all.
It's literally, you could do it in a spot, maybe foot by foot and a half at the most.
And you could do it in a coffee table,
So,
side table.
It's a very easy one. Just I mean, you can play it on a plane.
Yeah.
So it is the
right.
most portable of all of them. Automobile?
On a plane, on a train.
Automobile? Automobile? Anyway, so that was Claim. Again, another great game by Scott Holmes, who's now 2 for 2 in our list.
And the components are good too.
Yeah, it's good quality cards. I guess when you are a card game, you should. Oh, and we kind of mentioned the powers. They do have a reference for each player too, so that way you don't have to actually remember them from the rules, which is always a good thing to have. All right, next we're going to do another honorable mention. It's not featured behind me, unfortunately, but it is. This is our cheat game. It's Hero Realms. It's another deck building game, but this one you're fighting against each other, doing damage to each other, buying from a market. It can be played with more players, but it's not good more players. It really is more of a 2-player, just mano-y-mano type of game. And what's nice about this one is they've released a bunch of stuff for it. There's expansions, there's different character packs, there's quests, campaign quests you can go to, and on Kickstarter now, maybe done by the time you watch this video, they actually have its Hero Realms Dungeon, where it's a co-op, you run through a dungeon crawl with the decks. So they really support this game well. It's got a little bit of engine building in your deck building, because there's different factions, and when you play a faction card of the same faction, they get better, so you kind of want to maybe focus on those if they come up. So it's a good deck builder.
Yes.
Alrighty, one last honorable mention, then we'll get into our final deep dive of the game, and that game that we're honorable mention is Shot and Totten up here behind me. It is a tug-of-war style game. You have tiles in front of you, you're playing cards on your turn on either side, and you're trying to win by either getting a bigger set, a bigger run. There's a table in there that tells you which ones beat which, so you know. This is a kind of a reprint. There's a game out there called Battle Line, which is the same basic thing, but it is a basic tug of war. You're trying to pull the stones on your side, and it's if you get so many stones or so many stones together is the winner. But it's just a simple little play cards down. They have cards in there that have special powers to add a little bit of replayability and a little bit of bonuses in there, where it's not just I play card, you play card. It's, add some powers.
And it does have a little bit bigger footprint, but
because I think there's like 9 stones or something,
yeah,
so you're going to have like 9 piles of cards out. So don't let the box size belie its size. That kind of made sense in my head.
yeah.
Alright, but now we're going to get to our final deep dive, and this is a game that some may dismiss. Some may be like, bleh, because this is made by Mattel. It's called Spirits of the Wild. We are a fan a lot of what Mattel's done a while ago. I don't know if I've really seen them do much lately, but they have released quite a few games in this small box, 2-player only line. This is Spirits of the Wild. This is our favorite of them. It's the one we still currently have. They came out Trail Mazer, which was more an abstract. You push the little things in, push them around, having to try and get a line from one end to the other.
Yeah, the little rings.
Yeah, that one was alright.
Yeah.
Voltage, it's a 2-player card game, almost like Battle Line. So, I mean, or
Flipping,
sometimes.
negative, and positive,
Yeah,
voltage.
I mean, it was decent if you don't, if it's, you know, it's in a good price range, go ahead and grab it, it's not bad. But Spirits of the Wild, again, this is what we're talking about. This is a great game. You want to walk us through this one?
Yes.
Alright. Go ahead and walk us through the Mystical Stone-Taking Strategy game.
Okay.
We are again going to go and look at the components for the directions.
Yay. And the components are,
Fantastic.
wow. Yes. You've got, these are the cards, the action cards. Each person gets a set of those. And that's how you get your stones to fill up. So you're going to take those and you're going to fill up your game card, game card. And then what you do is you're going to take, and if you can see, these are the stones. To me they look like little M&Ms, which is kind of cool. But these are the stones, and you are basically you're flipping over these cards to take the stones that are out in
the shared bowl, there's a bowl in the middle that stones get added to, and you're basically drafting stones, but not really, because not everyone gets an option.
And you're taking them, and you're trying to fill up the owl, rabbit, beaver, salmon, and turtle. And each one has a different
scoring criteria.
Yeah. So like here, you've got to have two of the same stones. This one you have to have one of 3 different colors. This one you have to have 3 of the same, 2 of the same.
And then you get a 7-point bonus if you're able to do both.
Yes. Down here, the salmon you have to have all different colors. And then the turtle it has to be all of one color. And then you have these clear. These are the
Spirit Stones.
Yes, the Spirit Stones. Once you take one of these and you put them there, you can no longer put any other stones in that area. So it kind of locks it.
But it does double the point value, so it is worth it in the long run.
And then you have the Trickster Troublemaker Coyote, which that is just, look at that. That is just awesome.
It's like a waxy, rubbery feeling. It's a really cool component.
Yes.
It's well sculpted.
And what you do is if you play this card, you add 3 stones to the pile from this little...
We will emphasize little.
from this little bag. Whoops. That's where you pull the card or the stones from. And it is little. I know...
I can get like 3 fingers in it.
And I have relatively skinny little fingers. Bony, I guess you could say. And even I have a hard time getting my hand in there.
But I mean, it does do its job. Even with my 3 fingers, I'm usually able to pull out exactly what I need to. So it is functional, just not comfortable.
Right. So you'll flip this card over. You can move the coyote. When a coyote is on an animal, you cannot put anything on there. You can't put any stones. You can't put any of the
Spirit Stones.
Spirit stones. Nothing. And the only way you can move the coyote is if you flip over that card and...
You have 2 take 1 stone cards. When you flip them both over, it makes the picture that she just illuminated, and then you can move it. Or the card she previously showed you about the take 3 stones and then...
And move the coyote.
Yeah.
And then once all your cards...
When at least 3 cards are flipped over, you can then refresh your cards, and in so doing, you can activate a spirit power.
Which there's the bison, the eagle.
Eagle!
Deer. Double points if you know what that's from. Deer, bear, ram, and wolf. And each one gives you a different power.
you basically deal them out into 3 or 2 stacks of 3. Once you use the power, it goes to the bottom, so they kind of cycle through.
Yeah. And once 5 of these stones come out, whether it be on your board or inside the
bowl,
the game's over. So you're kind of trying to. There's some where you can take a stone and put 1 stone back or something like that, or so that you can try and, if you have 2 or 3 other stones out, spirit stones, you can throw them back and try to get rid of some of them.
So yeah, that is Spirits of the Wild. Like I said, we got it because the components looked cool. It was a 2-player game. I want to say they were running a deal at Gen Con. I want to say we got it at Gen Con. It was like, grab 3 games for such a price. And we had already, so we grabbed that one. We grabbed Trailmazer because at that time the use was in the abstract games and chess. And then Mattel does, again, on our channel. Oh yeah, we got Voltage, and then on our channel also we did Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters. They did that, so they had some expansions. So it all kind of like was a nice package deal we were able to get, and we were pleasantly surprised. Like I said, when you looked at it, it looked nice, but again, it's that whole Mattel's a little bit more mass markety. How are they going to do it? Well, I gotta say, between Ghost Fighting, this, I mean, I know Trailmazer and Voltage we weren't a fan of, but the production quality there is still phenomenal. We didn't show it, but the insert in here has a spot for everything. It's not just a box, just throw everything in. There's a spot to actually hold the bowl, the coyote, the cards, everything. Like, yeah, sure. Like I said, there's thought put into these games. They aren't just throw together for a money grab. They're trying to do something a little better. So
there's the coyote, bowl goes here, and then your cards go here. Yeah, not very well, but
so,
it's not meant to be sideways. So yeah, everything's nice and
we'll
neat.
sideways out the lid on.
Yeah.
I will say the one only complaint I think we kind of have, because we played this again recently, just kind of refresh, like, oh yeah, that's right, we do like this one, is the rule book doesn't cover the spirits in depth per se. So there was a couple times we're like, wait, can we do this after we do this or that? So that would have been the only one thing I would have liked if they would have kind of done.
Maybe explain those a little more.
Explain that a little bit more. But I mean, they're fairly easy to understand, so it really wasn't much of a hiccup. It's just if you're going to have cards that give you these little extra powers, maybe just expound on them a little bit more than on the card.
Says 10 plus, but I think, didn't you get this when you got this? Wasn't the...
She was under 10.
Yes.
Or maybe right around 10. But I want to say you played this with them and there was no problem. I mean, it's pretty simple. The only reason maybe would be a little bit of strategy on when to refresh the cards, but it's not even that bad. I mean, as long
very
as
straightforward, very no tricky.
No huge words on the cards.
Yeah.
It's not like from the receptacle.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's literally say take 1 stone. All right, well that's very simple. So
yeah.
But yeah. So again, that is some of our favorite. I'm not gonna necessarily say our favorite. We have to look at our top games and see for sure. But these are definitely games that are made specifically for 2 players that we do enjoy pulling off the shelf, playing that, and it basically we covered all levels. Like Shot and Totten is fairly easy. Claim can be fairly easy if you know trick taking, but then Seven Wonders Duel has some complexity. Bear and Bread has complexity. Dual Sword Island definitely steps it up. So that's the nice thing about the world nowadays. These 2-player games cover every realm. And like I said, we just grabbed some small ones. I know I've seen lots of huger ones out there that we just haven't gotten yet. Alright, so thank you for journeying down this journey path of our journey. Journey. Yes, so anyways, this was our 2-player path that we brought you down for a nice little threesome. So, I will say again, thanks for watching. So anyways, that is our video. Go ahead and check out the other videos on our channel. We have darn near 100 of them.
Get in there.
So, alright, make sure you watch them all 4 times.
And if you like them, please like, subscribe.
Ring a bell.
Let us know. Comment. Let us know what you liked about the videos, what you don't like, any
Obviously, we'll play
suggestions.
games 2 players, so if one of these you're more interested in, you'd like to see how it plays, let us know and we can probably pop out a video on it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we'll play any of these games, even if not asked. Alright, so until next time, I'm the bride.
The groom?
Sure. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.